Reaperman here. A few weeks ago, I made a video listing some positives for mapping a controller face button to the up control for games like platformers, asteroids, or racing games on old platforms with maybe one to two buttons. And I stated that I was going to make an adapter for my Neo Geo controller to hook up to my NT Mini or standard NES. Naturally, I've done that, and this is my show-off video. But before we get on, I'd like to shout out to a family of products that also kind of serve this purpose for 9-pin controllers, so your Atari, your Commodore, etc. And that family of products is called the 64JPX. That, I guess, comes from Commodore 64 Joypad Expander. Its stated purpose is to connect a variety of console control pads, for example, the Sega Genesis pad, to old systems with a variety of options for what to do with the two extra buttons on the Sega Genesis controller, for example. And one of these modes is called Racing Mode, which maps the up and down to the face buttons A and C. I've dropped a link down below. They can also be found on eBay. That's where I ordered mine from. Mine's coming from Australia. It's not here yet, so I don't have it to show off. So getting back to it, right here is my own simple up-to-jump adapter. And the Neo Geo controller just goes into this end, and the plug end here just goes into an NES. Inside, it's dead easy. I've just got a third-party NES controller, and it's been padhacked to one of these super simple DA15 breakout boards. Not too sure on the D-sub official names. But I really lucked out in that the NES pad that I chose had a really small board and had some pretty good test points to solder the button leads to, so I didn't have to go and try and pull them off of where the button contacts are. I've installed these switches, which let me toggle on and off my up and down functionality. These two over here let me disable up and down on the stick if I want to. These two let me disable them on the face buttons. Naturally, this means that I can have the buttons going, for both up and the button for it, or I can disable, for example, up entirely for whatever reason I'd want to do that. So I guess to show it off on the Neo Geo controller, so the Neo Geo controller's got your stick and your four face buttons, A, B, C, and D. So how I have it is I have the Neo Geo's A button mapped optionally to up. Then I've got B, A, and down. So it's up, B, A, down. And of course I can turn these two off. So now let's see it in some action here on my NT Mini. And here we have one of the most notorious examples of an up-to-jump game, Smurfs on 2600. Right now I'm at the second loop, and this is farther than I've ever made it without because I just kind of gave up on the game in disgust. But on my first try here, I made it to the third loop, which is just, it's pretty good. Oop, oop. As you can see, most of the difficulty in this game is in its weird control scheme, and having a button map to jump just completely removes, well, unfortunately, most of the challenge from the game. With Asteroids, up is actually used to thrust, so I find it not just handy having a button map to it, but the one under my thumb, which happens to be the one that I mapped. I feel it gives me some nice maneuverability that I'm just not good enough at this game to have otherwise. Here we have Moon Patrol, a game notoriously about carefully jumping and planning your jumps that uses up for the jumping mechanics, and it's pretty fantastic. having a button for it. Unfortunately, one of the things I noticed on this particular version, this is the Atari 2600 version, is you still get some controller throwing moments where you swear you pressed the jump button. Well, you know you pressed it, but it just didn't register in time. Rush and Attack on the NES uses the up key for both climb and jump, so it's nice to have both a stick and a button map. I still don't think I'll ever get used to playing this game, though. There's something weird about how it controls. So there's a quick look at my Neo Geo to NES controller adapter with up-to-jump button mapping. If you're ever constructing a custom controller or a controller adapter, I highly recommend giving yourself the option of mapping up to a face button for the games that use that functionality. I know that a lot of the time back in the day when I came across a game that used up for something weird, I usually just moved on to another game without giving it much of a chance. Now I'm rediscovering a lot of those games, but because I don't have much time with them, I'm having a lot of trouble remembering the names of most of them. If you can think of any great games that used up to jump, accelerate, etc., drop me a comment below.